If you have been trying to heal from a relationship that ended a year, 2, 3 years ago, and you still find yourself missing that person, reflecting on that person, crying over that person, and that person has moved on, that person may have even gotten married, and here you are still stuck in your healing journey, this video is absolutely for you. Now, y'all, all relationships end, whether it's in death and divorce or if it's just a dating relationship and breakups, but all relationships end. Now, I've had the unfortunate luck of having relationships end from death and divorce. I want to talk about how you can move forward after this heartbreak, this ending of a relationship. This is going to be a video that's more of a tough love. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to tell you how you can absolutely move past this heartbreak. Now, if you would like to read a book about healing, I have written a book about healing from relationship heartbreak, and that was my first book. It's called They Tried, But You Won. It has a lot of advice about how to get through your relationship heartbreak. First off, crying through a breakup, crying with, because you're emotionally hurt, y'all, it does not make you weak. There is no, I just want to skip the grieving process. A lot of people do that, and that's the problem. And you know what happens? That emotional damage, that emotional trauma just carries with you from relationship to relationship. Your relationships will never be successful until you do go through the grieving process, until you figure out how in the hell can you get on this other side of being happy, healed, and all the way together. The thing is, though, we cannot grieve forever. We cannot stay in that space forever. You're going to have to put your big girl, your big guy drawers on. We're going to have to pick up the pieces and move on. Grieving is a 5-step, or some even say a 7-step process. I detail that in my book. I even detail it in another video. Put my glasses on. So you're going to see all these ring lights around because I got my glasses on. But damn it, I need to see shit. Put a time limit on how long you're going to grieve that last relationship. If you say, you know what, I'm going to give myself 3 months, I'm going to give myself 6 months, stick to it. One thing that I always suggest my clients to do, y'all, cut off contact. If you look at my other videos, did I do that in my situation? My ex-husband and I, we had children together. We had a family. I didn't do that because you know what? I didn't deal with any codependency issues. A lot of the clients that I work with, they have codependency issues. They cannot be friends with their exes. They cannot go through that process. And if you are one of them, let's say if you had an anxious attachment style, you definitely have codependency issues. There is no friendship. There's no friendship. You cannot be friends. You have to cut off contact completely. Now, what if you say, well, V, we have kids together? I actually have a girlfriend who has a child with somebody, but this guy was so toxic. I mean, beyond toxic. We're talking to police, we're talking all kinds of stuff, drama. They did not communicate with each other. The pickup and drop off of the child was never by themselves. It was at the police department. There was always a third party that had to be involved. I'm not saying bring the police into your relationship. I'm not saying that at all. But what about a neutral third party? My ex-husband and I, we have zero communication with each other. And, for the peace of myself and for the peace of him, it works best that way. And if that is your situation, and if you need to find more peace in your life and you find that your ex disrupts your peace, then why do you communicate with them? You cannot be following them on social media. You cannot be investigating their pages. You cannot sit there and text them all day. Baby, please take me back. Please just forgive me. Love me. I'll be the woman. I'll be the man you want me to be. You have got to stop begging for somebody to love you. Love yourself enough to know that begging for somebody to be in your life is way beneath you. Don't you want to be with somebody who actually wants to be in your life? I ain't chasing anybody to be in my life. I'm not running after anybody. I'm not begging anybody to be in my life. If you want to be in my life, you want to be with me, show me, treat me that way. If you do not want to be with me and you don't show me that you want to be with me, and I'm just going to exit left and I'm going to go about my day. But some of y'all are holding on to things that were never there in the relationship. You wanted them to be there. You wanted those feelings to be there. You wanted this person to be your person, and this person is not your person. You love the idea of y'all together, but you didn't love y'all together. Oftentimes I see you don't even know who this person was, this person that you were idolizing. We would make the most beautiful kids together. He is so educated. He's everything. Y'all are creating this person to be bigger than they are. And a lot of times, they're not all that. I had a beautiful young lady client. This guy that she was dating, he had excellent communication skills. And honestly, that was the main kicker that she loved about him. And I was like, hold on. Are we sitting here believing that he's the only person in the world that has excellent communication skill? And when I said that back to her, she was like, yeah, you're right. He can't be the only person in the world with excellent communication skills. No, but we put this story behind it to make it seem like they are so perfect for us. And if it doesn't work out, my life is just not fulfilled. Y'all, stop it. That's not the case. Look at whatever you're admiring about that person. Do you really think that's the only person in the world that has that one quality? Is it? Is it? I'm pretty sure it's not. Now, if you suffer from being codependent, and a lot of times, like I said, it's from people who have anxious attachment style. I did a video about how to heal your attachment style because that's key. And a lot of times people who are attached to people who have a hard time moving on from others because of that codependency piece, you have to heal your attachment style first. I give you step-by-step instructions on how to heal your attachment style. And I'm gonna put it right here, one of these corners. Please go check that video out after you finish this video. Another thing that I'm seeing now, let's say that they cheated on you, or let's just say they did something that was very hurtful to you and the relationship ended, whether they walked away or you walked away. But let's just say they walked away. A lot of times it's harder for us to get past the heartbreak of a relationship ending when they made the choice to leave the relationship. We are hurting our own selves with the stories we tell ourselves. Let's say a guy meets a woman and he suffers from abandonment issues and she leaves the relationship and he says, how could she do this to me? She knows I suffer from abandonment issues. Or the flip side, the woman said, how could he have done this to me? He knows I have all these issues. There's no power in that. None at all. When you speak like that, you're giving that person so much power over you. They do not have the power to destroy your life, to rip your heart into a million pieces. They don't have that kind of power. But when you talk like that, how could they have done this to me? How could they have just done this and treated me like that? You're putting them way up here. You're treating them as if they are God. And a lot of times they just made selfish, ignorant, self-centered decisions that ended up hurting you. Maybe they're just assholes. Maybe they're a jerk. Maybe they never deserved you from the get-go. Maybe they weren't trying to hurt you. Maybe they were just thinking with their other head and not this head. Maybe when they woke up that morning, they had no, how am I going to hurt Trina today? How am I going to just get her in the jugular? How am I just going to put her in a chokehold? Stop giving them that type of power, because a lot of times they're just idiots. They're not even thinking like that. They're only thinking of themselves. But when you add that narrative of how could they have done this, how could, they weren't thinking of you. That's the whole thing. They weren't thinking of you at all. They do not have the power to ruin you. You'd have to give them that power. And the more you entertain and the more you go and tell your friends and the more you tell yourself, you are making them God. You are making them bigger than what they have ever been. It's time for you to take that power back. F them. Forget them. Stop telling your story. It could be to your girlfriends. It could be to your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your cousins. And every time you retell this story, you make yourself the victim. There is no power in being the victim. You have got to claim that energy back. You have to reclaim yourself. The more you keep telling that same tired ass story, there's no accountability on your part. Were you perfect in a relationship? Let's say you do have abandonment issues. Let's say you do have an anxious attachment style. It is not their responsibility to heal your attachment style. It is not their responsibility to heal your mommy, your daddy abandonment issues. It's not. It's your responsibility, and you're accountable for it. So that's why it's so important before we get out into these relationships with people that we know how to be in a relationship. Most importantly, that we know how to treat ourselves like we're important, that we're valuable, that we deserve love, that we are worthy, right? Those words that you tell yourself, they matter. But a lot of times when people are getting into these relationships with all this trauma, we start putting them ahead of ourselves. We start making them feel more worthy than we make ourselves feel more worthy. So when all these experts, including myself, tell you to work on yourself, so that you won't keep being in this situation where you're constantly trying to heal from heartbreak, constantly trying to detach from somebody who was never attached to you. The same conversation I'm having with you now, I've had with my clients. Somebody's going to have to be honest with you. And I know a lot of times when you do tell your story over and over and over again, because you want to be the heroine in your story, you make yourself the victim. So your friends, the people on the receiving end who's hearing your stories, they are to validate your feelings. I ain't here to validate your feelings. I'm here to tell you the truth. My name is Vee Mindful. I'm a relationship coach and published author, and I talk about everything related to relationships, healing from attachment style issues, the masculine and feminine imbalance, as well as communication issues in a relationship. And one thing I honestly don't talk enough about on my channel, and I even wrote a whole book about it, is healing from relationship heartbreak. So y'all, hope this video and podcast episode was helpful. But if you find yourself needing additional support, y'all, my email address is down in the description as well as my website. Y'all, till next week, y'all take care of yourselves.